What comes to mind when you think of a coronation ceremony? A majestic king or queen donning the crown, being blessed by the divine, the whole kingdom rejoicing and celebrating their new ruler. Well, if you were a subject of the pharaohs in ancient Egypt, your coronation would have been a very different affair. In fact, for the pharaohs, the path to the throne was literally paved with blood, the blood of their predecessors. Now, before we get into the gory details, there's one thing you need to know about the pharaohs. They believed that when a pharaoh died, they didn't really die. They just became an ordinary god, so it was only fitting that their successor should be chosen by the gods. And what better way to demonstrate divine favor than by making sure the next pharaoh is the only survivor of a vicious fight to the death between their siblings? Yes, you heard that right. The pharaoh's children would kill each other so that the gods could choose the most powerful and obviously the best-looking one to be the next king. Of course, this was all done in the name of tradition. The tradition started with Akhenaten, who ruled Egypt from 1353 to 1336 BC. He started this trend of fratricide because he was the only male child of his father, Amenhotep III, to survive to adulthood. Before Akhenaten, the first son of the pharaoh used to inherit the throne, but Akhenaten had 4 daughters, but no male heirs. So when he died, his throne passed to his brother Smenkhare, who changed his name to Tutankhamun. When Tutankhamun died without any heirs of his own, his advisors and counselors started looking for a new pharaoh. Enter King Tut's full sister, Ankhesenamun, who was married to her brother's best friend, General Horemheb. According to tradition, she was supposed to outlive both her brothers, which she did. After Tutankhamun's death, she first tried to secure the throne for herself, but failed. Then she tried to find a new pharaoh by sending a letter to the Hittite king, but that also failed. Finally, she accepted defeat and allowed General Hormakhet to take the throne. Now, you might wonder, why wasn't there more resistance to a woman becoming the pharaoh? After all, Egypt had its first female pharaoh, Hatshepsut, in the year 1478 BC. The answer to that is simple. Egyptians didn't really have a problem with women becoming pharaohs. In fact, they encouraged it as long as they weren't related to the current pharaoh. You see, women like Hatshepsut and Cleopatra ascended the throne because they were regents to an infant pharaoh, or because they were the wife of a pharaoh and had no other male heirs. Ankhesenamun was Tutankhamun's full sister, not his wife. And even though she outlived both her brothers, she wasn't considered for the throne. And that's all because of one reason and one reason only: the bloodbath at the palace. The moment a pharaoh breathed his last, his sons would start killing each other. Only one would be left standing, and he would be the next pharaoh. This ensured that the pharaoh's genes were strong and the royal bloodline pure. It was a brutal way of selecting a king, but hey, somebody had to do it. And what better way to do it than by letting the gods decide? Right, if you ask me, it's a barbaric practice, but I'm sure the people of Thebes would beg to differ. Speaking of begging to differ, how did the Theban people get away with killing not 1, but 2 pharaohs? We'll tell you everything about that on our channel, so make sure to subscribe so you never miss an upload. Now back to the Egyptian succession crisis. It wasn't always smooth sailing for the pharaoh's children. There were instances where the throne was taken by force. For example, after Akhenaten's death, Smenkhare, who became Tutankhamun, took the throne at the age of 9, while his sister Ankhesenamun was only 12 years old. Did you ever have sibling rivalry? Come on, don't lie. Well, if you did, I'm sure yours is nowhere near as bad as theirs. While growing up, the two of them wanted the same thing, the throne of Egypt. However, they couldn't be more different. Tutankhamun was religious, while Ankhesenamun was not. She was also ambitious and intelligent, something the young Tutankhamun was not. So as soon as she reached the age of 12, Ankhesenamun asked the court officials to let her rule instead of her brother. Naturally, they refused, and that's when she decided to flee to the Theban region with her brother's help. There, she declared herself the rightful heir to the throne and took the title Great of Praises, hereditary princess, Great of Praises, hereditary princess. She even went ahead and minted coins bearing her image. As you can imagine, the Pharaoh's court was not too happy about this, so they made an alliance with the Thebans and marched to the city of Thebes. The siege lasted for a whole year, after which the Theban general Senib-K, along with Ankhesenamun's half-sister Queen Nefertiti, managed to capture Thebes. Ankhesenamun and her husband, General Horemheb, fled to the south. However, they were caught and brought back to Thebes. General Horemheb was executed and Ankhesenamun was forced to watch. Now, this was not part of the plan. According to the court, Ankhesenamun was only supposed to be exiled, not put to death, but she caused quite a stir when she raised an army to reclaim her throne. As a result, the court ordered the execution of her brother Tutankhamun as well. So basically, this one sister single-handedly led to the death of 2 Egyptian pharaohs. That's why she earned the title the Egyptian Joan of Arc, although she wasn't the one who started the bloodshed. Tutankhamun's father, Akhenaten, was the one who started this nasty tradition of fratricide. And he did that because he wanted to preserve the purity of the royal bloodline. Maybe if he hadn't done that, Tutankhamun wouldn't have died so young, and Ankhesenamun wouldn't have felt the need to rebel against her brother. That's all for today. See you next time.